I'm just hoping we don't run out of space.
I'm sure.
It's gonna be close.
You're right. It might be a little tight.
It's gonna be close. So
It'll be.
sit down.
Oh, sorry. I'm an asshole.
Sit down.
I'm an adult virgin.
Why do you give me material?
So, I
after the intro?
I'm already recording.
You just did. All right.
Let's do
Well.
this.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this your channel?
Okay, goodbye. Good have fun. Good luck. Take your choices.
Yeah. That is the intro right there.
Hey, can you keep?
No, sure. It's over. Do you want to sit here?
Go ahead.
No.
Hello and welcome to Lindsay's Door.
Oh my god. Hello and welcome.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clueless Gamers. I'm Pete.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Nick.
Thanks for coming back, Nick. It's
It
been a
feels
little
good to
bit.
be back. Thanks.
And we are reviewing today Solo, a Star Wars story. This has been a pretty divisive film if you've seen Rotten Tomato or any other scores or reviews or stuff like that.
Rotten Tomatoes is like 70s, right?
Yeah, it's been
That's
alright, but
terrible.
the Star Wars community, just like Last Jedi, has been a little rough on this one. It's been pretty split. So we're going to give our thoughts. We'll probably try to stay on the positive side because we try to do that here. But I definitely have some negatives as well. So if you don't know how this works here on this channel, we kind of go into a general impressions thing where there's no spoilers. Then we do likes, dislikes, and a rating. If you've not seen this movie and you do not want to be spoiled in everything that happens in Solo, please click off the video. I think it's called favorites or save for later now. Do that.
Is it watch it later?
No, it's
They
not
changed
watch
it?
later more. It's like save as
Oh,
or
what
something
the
like
hell?
that. Whatever it is, do that and come back later after you watch the movie, alright? So jumping into the general impressions here. For me,
Sure.
I don't know, I'm kind of half and half on this movie. I definitely think, this is my second time. This was your first guy,
Yes.
right? I'm definitely more positive on it the second time, I think. However, I still have the same issues with it I did the first time. It's great action in this movie. I think it's paced actually decently well. I think the acting for the most part is on point. I think it's Alden Ehrenreich who plays the young Harrison Ford's Han Solo. He nails it. I think he captures the character, especially about halfway through the film. You believe this is Han Solo. Lando, having Donald Glover do that part.
Oh.
Perfect. Nailed that. And there's other great performances here. Tobias Beckett in there, obviously great performance there.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson is fantastic and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I would recommend seeing it. It's part of the canon as much as some people don't want it to be. It is. Go out and see it. It is a prequel, so it's not like you need it to see like the future
Right.
films.
I mean, neither was Rogue One.
Right. But definitely go out, check it out, support this film. It's not doing well at all in the box office, but it doesn't deserve, if you're deterred by what's happened, what you see with the box office, it's definitely not, it's not a bad film.
Nope.
So definitely check it out. So that's my general thoughts.
Sure.
I'm surprised. Now, is it not doing good for a Star Wars movie? Or
No,
is it
it's
not
doing
good?
bad, like in general. For
That's
a movie
surprising.
that spent this much money,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah,
bad.
that's
Like
surprising.
really bad.
I think that could just be Star Wars burnout, honestly.
Fatigue, yeah, it's possible.
Because I've even seen people on my Twitter feed. I just saw one literally 5 minutes ago before we sat down and do this say that it's not that they don't have an interest in seeing it. It's just that they're Star Wars burnt out right now, and
Yeah.
because of that, they're not going to see it and ask how people viewed it. So I think there is a bit of Star Wars fatigue, especially because there was such a long break between the first three,
Right.
the prequels, and then the new trilogy.
Yeah.
And then once the new trilogy came, now we're getting movies almost every 5-6 months, it seems.
And you have to remember, on top of that, this is only 6 months after Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Normally, there's a year apart.
Yeah,
That's been the
sure.
pattern. Even Rogue One
Even
was
Rogue
a
One
December
was a
film.
year, you're
And
right.
originally, this was supposed to be a December film, and they put it back to the old Star Wars date of in the summer, in that kind of May-June slot. I don't know if that was the best
I don't think
idea.
that was
I
a
think
good idea.
ruling December would have been the better choice.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't think that was a good idea.
Especially you're going against so many things.
Avengers,
Infinity War,
Deadpool.
yeah, and
not-
you have
not-
Jurassic World coming out next week.
I
Like
mean,
it's rough.
You got to
Yeah.
figure they wanted to compete for a summer blockbuster.
I get that, but they should have understood the
Maybe it's felt
tracking
better.
maybe
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit
felt
better.
I
But
agree.
overall, what did you
Impressions
think of
of
the?
the
Yeah,
general
right. I'm
impressions?
off topic. General impressions. I really enjoyed it. I'm someone who hasn't read much criticism, and maybe after I read criticism, I'll say, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe that was kind of a bit of a big plot hole.
That happens.
But I'm you guys, if you know me, I'm a very easy to please person. I really liked this movie. I really did.
What did you think?
No,
Victor?
so I'd heard a few mixed things. Some friends of mine saw it. One said he hated it, which I thought was interesting. But I usually take his opinion with a grain of salt. He's pretty cynical. And again, also as someone who, is really easy to please, people usually say I'm the person that likes everything, which may or may not be true. But I actually really did love this movie. I think it had its shortcomings, like any movie, especially like any recent Star Wars movie, it's going to have shortcomings. But there was a lot. I think there was a lot to like there. I think the performances were great from pretty much the whole cast.
Yeah, I think they nailed it.
I think the writing was great. I truly could hear Harrison Ford deliver the lines that this young
Reich or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
was delivering, and I think that's a true hallmark of this is the Han Solo. It is being written for the Han Solo character, and it really well. I thought it was great. I really did.
I definitely want to add in general impressions wise. Obviously, no spoilers. For all the problems that this movie had, because I don't know if you guys followed the production,
I did not.
It was rough. They changed directors about reportedly 80% through the film. They had a couple directors. Apparently, Lucasfilm let it go on that long, Kathleen Kennedy, and then realized, ooh, we don't like this at all. They took those directors out, fired them, and put in Ron Howard, who's the one who actually got the credit for this film.
Right.
Wow.
They
Fantastic job.
rewrote a lot of the movie, and there was a ton of reshoots. They spent a ton of money. So doing all that, however you feel about that, I think it came out pretty well.
I
So-
agree.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so I definitely wanted to add that in there. So I guess that's kind of our general impressions.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to jump into likes here and then dislikes. This is full spoilers here, so get out. If you've not seen it, if you care about spoilers, do
Come
not
back
blame
later.
us. Yeah,
Come
definitely
back
come
later.
back later, but don't blame us here from this point forward. 3, 2, 1. All right, so going into likes, I actually do have a lot of likes for this
Sure.
film. I do want to highlight, as we said, the acting was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Nailing the young Han, I think, is a really hard thing. I think we take for granted when you see this kind of movie. And I think him nailing even his little movements, the way he would
Sure.
say something, his voice pattern at certain moments,
Yeah.
I think that's really hard to do. And I
Yeah.
think they actually did a great job. of it.
I totally agree, especially as seeing, Harrison Ford really just did such a fantastic job in those earlier movies. Like, he was this badass, cool guy,
Yeah.
and, like, it became iconic. So the fact that he's this, forgive me,
Yeah, all of
young,
Yeah.
sure, is able to mimic that and, like, convincingly is a thing, art in itself, I think.
Yeah, because the way I see it is anyone could, any legitimate actor, right? They
Sure.
can put on the outfit and you could strap the gun to yourself and be like, oh, that's young Han Solo.
Yeah.
No, you got to nail it. You got to make us feel like this is the young Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he had big shoes to fill.
That we saw maybe 2-3 years because the timeline's unclear before New Hope.
Like, this is
Sure.
the guy that's going to get killed
Right.
by Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
no, it's been a few years.
I'll take the heat for that.
Yeah, but definitely, I think that's a hard
Still
thing
hurts.
to. It does, and that's a hard thing to do. And I think this movie actually adds to that of him getting killed later, of seeing how he progressed.
Especially
to see,
Chewbacca's emotion and connection.
Right,
with him.
definitely
That was
there.
great seeing that.
I think that was great throughout the film, and I just like that. Obviously, he's the title character.
Sure.
But seeing him be the scoundrel, which I'm glad they also didn't say that throughout the film. I was very happy they didn't say that.
because they could have.
But he was, this little scrum rat or whatever they called him, right?
Yeah.
He grew up on the streets having nothing, that his family didn't care about him or whatever happened with his dad, and we don't know what happened with his mom.
I think it was intentionally vague, which I like.
Exactly, and I think they did leave some vagueness there, which finally, because that's the one thing about Han Solo in the originals that I was skeptical about doing this whole prequel of, like, are we going to reveal too much? They did leave some parts, so I think it was nice seeing all those things, and then seeing him progress. I love, actually, the 3 years later, at first I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about a time jump.
Sure.
But then putting him in the ground, like the grounded universe of being in an Empire battle, and seeing that he was thrust into it all to just get back to Kira in the first place, and then just seeing how the Empire is, how they operate. We see the propaganda film there. At
Join the Empire. Do your part. Join the Empire.
Which is, I think there was a joke years ago about that. It was a joke parody video.
Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of nice to
kinda
kind of
real.
see something there,
Yeah.
and then to see, like, Han point out these things of just like, oh, it's their planet, we're the invaders, and see what the Empire's like, how it runs, all those things. Him being kicked out of the naval, Imperial fleet and stuff like that. I think all that was great there. And then, the rest of the characters, Lando, Donald Glover nailed it.
Holy shit.
That's a hard character to nail, in my opinion, because with Lando, there has to be a degree of being a little bit over the top,
Of
because he
course.
kind of is, with his capes
He's an
and all.
extravagant playboy,
and all the things.
Like, yeah.
And I think he nailed that part. I think he was great there. I think Kira, Emilia Clarke, who has been criticized outside of Game of Thrones for some of her acting choices, everyone said she's great, but some movies like Terminator Genesis, not good decisions.
I loved her in it. Not a great movie.
Yeah, so in here it was nice. She was actually one of the worries I had going into this film, and I thought she fit in perfectly in this universe. And I love the three-dimensional aspects kind of her as we see, and we'll talk about with the end of the film with that happening. So all the characters there I think are definitely a huge highlight for me. How do you feel?
Woody Harrelson was also great.
He might be my favorite character in the movie.
Incredible. The acting was phenomenal. I really didn't have any problem with really any of the acting.
No.
Seeing the relationship of Chewbacca and Han Solo was great. You know, because you wonder, I don't know if it was ever talked about in the comics of how they met.
No.
That really ever
Do you
discussed?
feel weird that you specifically know how they met now? Is that too much?
No, I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it, but that's interesting that maybe that's an aspect that you're kind of like maybe ambiguous.
It's not like a dislike or like, it's weird. I don't know, it just feels weird to me. You know what I mean?
I like having answers.
Yeah.
So I think, so like what I dislike is how there's a lot.
We'll get to that part.
Okay, you're right.
You
Just
are.
very briefly. I've been here longer than you.
Oh.
I'm kidding. Like Kira, obviously there was a lot of things that she did that was maybe seen as unethical.
And we never know.
And we never know, and we probably never will.
And
know.
I like
And
that.
I like that.
See, I didn't really like that. So clearly we have different views in
Well,
there.
which is fine.
Which is absolutely fine.
And we're still friends. So somehow
Yeah,
that
no,
works.
I'm very civil about it, very respectful, which everyone should be. But yeah, I did like how we learned how Han and Chewie met. And like seeing them start taking over the Millennium Falcon, like little by little, with Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, getting injured. Some people didn't know that. Believe it or
Oh
not.
my God.
No, everyone knew.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
There are people actually who, believe it or not, don't know. It's
Yeah.
still a little scary.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was just it was an enjoyable movie.
I like seeing how the Falcon's so clean.
Yeah.
It's so like pristine looking.
For a part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, that's trash.
So like all that stuff I think is really cool in this film. Yes, Woody Harrelson is fantastic. I think he might be my favorite character.
What I also love, and they did it in Rogue One, I feel like they hesitate to do this in the main stories, is they kill off characters.
Right.
And they did that, I thought, I mean, in Rogue One they killed everyone, which was a crazy twist I don't think anyone would have predicted.
No.
Yeah.
But that was, that's what made Rogue One one of, I think, the best Star
I
Wars
love
cinematic
Rogue One.
movies.
Yeah,
It's
I
one
love
of
that.
my top three.
It's one of my top three.
Easy. It was a fantastic piece, and I was hoping that this movie would replicate what Rogue One did.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if it kind of reached those heights for me.
No.
I'm sure for other people it probably wasn't even close. I think it was
And we
still
can talk
solid.
about that, definitely.
But they killed off characters. Woody Harrelson's love. So I use the actor and actress names a lot because I forget the character names.
Tobias Beckett.
Right, Beckett. His lover gets killed on the bridge.
Right.
Kills herself.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird dude that was
Rio.
Rio.
Yeah.
Damn, you guys have good memories of the
Yeah.
characters.
You reminded me of that.
Rio gets killed when he gets shot, and so you learn that this universe, you know, they're not afraid to kill off characters, and even his character gets killed at the very end.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I like that a lot. That the stakes were always kind of high in this movie, and I feel like in the main stories, the main like trilogies, they're a little more hesitant to kill off major characters,
Yeah,
and
these are considered the anthology.
yeah, and that's a little bit of a con I have with the main movies. Very minor con, but I like when there's death involved in stories because I feel like
When the
just,
suspense.
yeah, I
the
feel like it
risk.
just adds drama,
Yeah.
and then like you're always wondering, is this character going to get killed off? Will this be the next?
Yeah.
You know, is Londo going to get killed off? Obviously not, but
Yeah, we
Welcome
knew
to Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
'cause
we knew he'd be fine. We knew Han and
Everyone
Chewie
died.
because obviously we see them in the originals.
yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone else, you have to assume has a possibility to die, and they killed some, and then like Kira, they left her alive.
After a lot.
So like,
Surprisingly.
it's nice when you kind of have that mystery there.
Mhm.
Sure.
I just want to say before
Sure,
you
yeah.
go, I do like the dynamic between Tobias and Han. It's more like a father-son kind of thing. Like
which I hoped it would be.
he's showing him the ropes.
Mhm.
There's a mutual respect there. I mean, even after, and yes, they make a reference to it of Han shot first, right? Because he literally shoots first, right? That adds to his character. I'm glad that they did that because George, you know, kind of tried to retcon that with whole Greedo shooting first. I don't know if you've seen those.
No, I've not.
But yeah, those are the ones that they have the rights to that are on TV. But anyway, so I like that he was doing that, and that's kind of the origin of that. That he's not afraid to do that because he knows Tobias is about to shoot him.
Yeah.
And then even after that, they have this respect where he's like, "Oh, you know, that was good,
did the
kid.
right
I was
move."
gonna kill you."
Mhm.
Like and like that, he has like, you know, like,
That was a great
"Oh, you know,
scene.
I would have learned to play whatever that instrument was or whatever or something like
Yeah.
that." So they had still a moment where it was just circumstances of them being outlaws, being thieves,
And that's how
of
the
why
way
it
it
didn't
is.
work.
Yeah.
However, they still did care about each other.
they did.
And I
It was
think
never
that,
anything personal.
right, and I think that was a hard dynamic to balance. That's hard to write and hard to act, and I
Yeah.
actually think that was really well done. And I think Woody Harrelson throughout the film is fantastic, where he's always the one saying stick to the plan. Yet a lot of times he's the improviser.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
see how Han learns those kind of things as well, even though
Absolutely.
he grew up doing some of that stuff. So I think that builds to his character. And someone pointed this out. I wanted to say this one thing: the mask that Tobias is wearing when they're in the Kessel Mines,
Yes.
that's the same one in Return of the Jedi that I think Lando uses to disguise himself with the Jabba Hutt thing. So that means that's a nice connection
Wow.
that mask has been on the Falcon all these years. So like when you watch the
That's
originals
freaking awesome.
again, there's some connections back. So obviously they
man.
purposely did that.
That's pretty
But
Sure.
that's kind of a nice thing. So there was a lot of little
Wow,
moments like that. I
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me.
like. Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
If you could say it, and I'll go into my whole spiel.
The Darth Maul cameo was also great.
Awesome.
Okay,
Great.
I know that's what you wanted to talk about, so that's why I'll touch on it very quickly.
No, we can all talk about it.
I feel like they, Rogue One had that freaking amazing, one of the best
The
scenes ever
Vader
with Darth
scene.
Vader.
That
Incredible.
Vader scene.
And so I feel like they almost kind of wanted to follow the footsteps of having a
Sith.
There needed
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
something big. Yeah.
So compared to that scene, I don't think there's ever going to be
Yeah.
a scene that would be anywhere as impactful
No.
as that
Sure.
Vader scene
No,
at the
no.
end.
Because
Um,
we don't get to see him do anything
that was-
besides be on the hologram.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so it was cool, but it left me with a little bit of like, well, I kind of want to see more, and I wanted to know a lot more about Kira. And I guess for some people, like Dylan, that's a good thing. That makes
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want. But for me, I would have rather, I think, had a little bit more explained to me about like
Sure.
the acts she
That's
did
fair.
and the relationship.
And what
she-
happens to her after this?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because
She
we'll,
left.
we'll probably never know.
Sure.
Why did she leave? Why did she not go back with
Yeah.
Han?
Yeah.
And it was also very convenient that she was in that place.
Of course.
Oh, I know that's movies,
Right.
but
No, we'll talk about that definitely.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about
So-
Maul's cameo?
Well, yeah, I guess that's what we'll touch first. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think I've never watched the Clone Wars shows
Or Rebels, I would
or
assume.
Rebel. I guess it
Either
is
of you guys
Rebels,
have done
but
that. No, it's
I know
both. He's in both shows.
yeah, I know he's alive in it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people watching it probably weren't aware of that. So this cameo was kind of huge, and
Yeah.
like what I liked about it wasn't he didn't just sit in his seat the whole time, and it's like that's who he is. They made it obvious that his from the torso down is robotic. You could hear it clanking. It's like those
Yeah.
are robotic legs,
Yeah.
And I think that kind of adds to the cameo where it's like this is a guy that was chopped in half probably. I don't know the time, like 12 years, 20 years.
I mean,
before?
yeah, you would figure Phantom Menace is 10 years before Attack of the Clones, and then this movie is probably a few years set before A New Hope. So we're talking, there's got to be like a 15-something year gap, maybe closer to 20.
Yeah.
Like, there's a long time in there.
And which, like, you could kind of tell he's aged in that. He doesn't
Right,
look as
that
youthful.
also, I think,
Yeah,
they-
so that's cool. And I thought the cameo was good, It left me wanting more Darth Maul, of course,
Right.
which we may not get, because I think that probably gets talked about and explained in the shows enough. As for Kira, I liked that they didn't, go too much into more about her. The way I see it, I think I would have liked to know more about what's in store for her rather than what is in her
Fair.
past.
Okay.
She has laid the foundation. She has done some bad things in her past, and I think for her character, that's all we need to know. What's more important is where that could go. In terms of other things I've liked, of course, the performances were fantastic. You guys said enough about that.
I thought the
Everybody, I think
the CGI was great,
the
too.
CGI was really good. There was a moment maybe with Lady, whatever her name was.
Yeah. The beginning,
you know,
Proxima.
Proxima.
Yeah.
It looked a little. I was like,
Yeah.
but no, for the most part, the CGI was great. The whole movie looked good. Yeah, just like the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon
Yeah.
looked beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
so pristine.
it was,
Crisp.
yeah.
They ruined
So
it.
I thought it was just great. Donald Glover, I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
He's over the top enough to really make it work. You can
Yeah.
see that in other aspects of his acting in other things, and I think he shows that he can make that character work really well. Emilia Clarke's fantastic. Love her.
I mean,
I'll support her in anything, even in Terminator, and that's to a fault for sure. But she did a really good job. She did a great job portraying like her and young Han. Goddamn.
yeah.
really had that chemistry going. Like
Yeah,
they
they
had,
did nail
it was
that.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was especially good in the sense that we still don't know how she feels about him, because she's still in this
Right.
dark, tied in with some dark stuff. So she's really complicated, and I think that's what's cool.
I did want to say that I think the action was great.
Yeah.
Great. The suspense, fantastic. I think, especially the second time, I actually like that a lot more.
Yeah.
The way that stuff, the whole train scene going on. Anytime you're with Dryden Voss, I think there's a nice tension there. Paul Bettany, I thought
we didn't get to.
was great.
He was fantastic.
Going back to Kira, though, like I did touch on, I like that she has 3 dimensions there. I think what she does at the end is because, as Becca keeps telling him, she's a survivor. You don't know her well enough.
She's gonna, yeah.
And in that moment, she knows that if they don't deliver the coaxium, the fuel or whatever, that Maul will come after them. So she's paying that debt. She's letting Han get away. She's doing the right thing there. Kind of a debt to him based on their past relationship.
Mm-hmm.
However, she makes it clear that that was in the past. So even though they had that moment in Lando's, closet,
and several moments
kind of thing,
throughout, but like, it's
and
still,
they kiss at the end.
Sure.
She had that plan, especially when they're in that room. That if I kill Dryden, I can be the guy right under Maul.
she'll know what she has to do to survive.
And that, I think, adds a nice dimension to her character that I actually didn't see coming in this movie.
No,
And
that
I
surprised
actually,
me.
I actually really appreciated that. Because I totally thought throughout the movie she was just going to die, right? And
I
that
thought
was
she was going to die, or she was simply just going to fall for Han,
Yeah.
or whatever.
betray him and then die and say I'm sorry, something
Yeah.
like that. So like to have that little bit of element that I didn't expect, and she gives that like final look as they're both looking at each other as the
Sure.
yacht passes. I thought that was great. I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah.
I just take issue with the fact that these 2 characters grew up together their whole life, clearly had very strong love for each other
Right.
Sure.
as they were growing up. There's a 3-year gap, so I understand that. I guess feelings can leave in 3 years.
And then also,
Absolutely.
what has she done?
What has she done? That makes me want to know at least a couple of maybe horrendous things of what she's done.
Yeah.
And I guess I understand why it's a pro to you, because you can imagine what she's done, and it's a cool thing that they leave it a little ambiguous. But I don't know. I want more, I guess, from that.
Yeah.
And I wish maybe we got a little
I feel like
more.
they leave it semi-ambiguous, but there are certain things that she does in her actions that's like, oh, Dryden taught me, or like this
Right.
and that, and you're like, okay, so I kind of get
That's
a
a
glimpse.
good point.
Like that badass move she performs on the guy,
The pike.
the pike, yeah. Like, whoa, where did that come from?
Oh,
So
Dryden
it's
taught
like,
me.
yeah, it's like, oh, so she's pretty proficient in hand-to-hand combat. She's
Yeah.
probably trained for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Beside being the scum rat that she was
Exactly.
and learning things there.
Well, even if we didn't get a little glimpse of what she did,
You don't get why she did what
why,
she did.
why
in the
she
end.
went there, or even how she got to that position. It just
Sure.
it felt a little
Well,
too convenient for me. I think
It's fair.
Convenient,
that
sure.
she just showed up there.
Well, I mean, I like to look at it like as if this is real life. Say he sees a pretty Dryden comes there, sees a pretty face, takes her under his wing, makes her his love interest clearly, and that's what carries her to the
And
top.
she kind of
And
built
she-
up trust over the years.
And
I
she
guess
probably
that's
uses
it, yeah.
that to her advantage. That's kind of how I saw it. She, not to say slept to the top, because that's obviously
No,
but in a sense,
there's hints that she also slept with Lando there. I mean,
like
she seems to make
she
that
did
pretty
what she
obvious.
had to do to get into the position she was, and I think that's all we need to know.
yeah,
Definitely, and for I understand whether you like or not like the vagueness of her backstory or what happens with her. I think you just have to understand that she did those things at the end because there was no way out for her.
yeah.
There was no. How will she answer to Maul if she just runs with Han?
No, you're right.
In
you're
turn, she's saving Han and Chewie because now he's not looking for them. She didn't mention their names.
She did, yeah.
Nothing. So, she said, oh, Beckett and his compatriots. Well, Beckett's dead, and the compatriots could just be anybody.
Yeah.
So, because she said, I wasn't here when this happened.
Mhm.
So that's implying, like, oh, I don't know. There's nothing you can beat out of me. I don't know. So, in turn, she saves him there, as well as take advantage of herself of moving up the chain.
Right at that point, I
So-
guess she's just in too deep. At
Yeah,
that point,
yeah.
And she said that, and that's
Yeah.
why she has the tattoo or whatever there, and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
I feel like it's become Kira, a Star Wars story.
In some ways, yeah. God damn it. I thought the music was great throughout. There's a lot of great musical cues.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
because I turned to you and I had probably missed it as it happened earlier, but when Han sits in the cockpit of the Falcon and his music plays. I thought that was such like a rewarding moment.
Yeah.
Like,
especially when him and Chewie both sit down.
yeah, you're like, wow, it's
it's-
like this
yeah.
Star Wars theme. John Williams, probably the greatest film composer in my eyes. So like them using those themes really meant a lot to me. I thought it was fantastic.
Definitely, I like that. I like that there's different musical cues, and I'll hear more as it comes out
Of
on
course,
DVD.
yeah, because
probably
there are definitely a
Kira or
lot.
someone has like their own little themes and things
Oh,
like that.
absolutely.
But I liked hearing the Han ones and the things like that. I like how much, because this is what he is, they focused on him being the driver, being the flyer. They did, because they could have easily took this of like somehow he's some badass hand-to-hand combat guy now,
No, and that would have
also,
made it lame.
you focus on the things that he's good at. He
Yeah.
can handle a blaster and things like that.
Sure.
But you focus on those things, and I think him being in the Maelstrom or whatever it was called during the Kessel Run, and zooming in on his eyes when he's telling Chewie to punch it, and all the ways where he spins it to hit a TIE fighter, and
Yeah.
like seeing that he's innovative in how he
Sure.
flies and how he could be the one to do it in 12 parsecs
Yes,
or
yeah.
whatever. Even though they hint that it was actually a little bit more, and he rounded down.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little bit cool
that's
there.
funny.
But I did like that stuff, that you focus on those things and show how talented he is. Even
Yeah.
Rio points that out. Hey, kid, you weren't lying. You're a hell of a pilot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you see that. It's just that he got kicked out because he just doesn't
can't-
take orders from
yeah.
authority, from anyone.
Doesn't
Mhm.
follow the
So
rules.
it adds to that character there.
Definitely.
Should we move on to dislikes?
I just wanted to say with the mall stuff,
Oh, sure. Yeah, do that.
just one thing. You guys, I'm not going to explain, obviously. You guys could look up videos, or I could show you guys anyway, with Clone Wars or Rebels. You see that character throughout. I thought actually it was a really well done tie-in, because that easily could have been super forced and not made any sense. In those shows, he takes over the criminal underworld. So it makes sense that he's the head boss here.
You have the crimson. Yeah.
So I like that, and I like all the little prequel references and Clone War references too.
Yes.
You have Pikes, they say Black Sun, so these are things maybe you guys don't know, but those are all gangs. In the crime syndicate, those are part of the 5 families.
Right.
So you say Felucia, which is a very popular planet during the prequel era. So that was nice. They mention Bosk, who is a bounty hunter from the prequel era there. They mentioned during the campfire scene, why do we need these guys? We could have got these twins or Bosk.
Sure.
So there's little
they exist.
There's little prequel things there,
That's
and then
awesome.
the one that they said to Beckett when Lando in the bar, you killed Aura Singh, I owed her a lot of money. She's also a very popular character in the Clone Wars show. She's a bounty hunter.
Oh shit.
So and that's also a nice tie-in because we never knew what happened to her, so now we knew Beckett killed her.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
all those little prequel things I thought were nice little unforced tie-ins
Yeah.
that like are really quick. You don't focus on them,
Yeah, 'cause if
but
you-
it ties up the universe nicely.
If you had not told me that, I figured they would just write in a name and
Yeah.
it's
That's
like a
what I-
Mad
that's what I
Lib. And-
figured,
yeah,
too.
but that's
Yeah, but
So
those
that's definitely
that's
aimed
cool.
for more,
People like me.
engulfed
it's
Right,
some like
definitely.
subtle
yeah.
fan service, and
But that's
like,
awesome.
a not
No, that's
forced way. I
awesome.
like that.
I definitely didn't think it was forced, and then having the mole thing that I know, I did want to say one thing. I know people thought it was a little weird that he lights the lightsaber up. I actually don't really have a problem with it. I think it's actually a cool effect that she sees the fear that she has in her eyes,
Sure.
and seeing the glimmer of the red lightsaber in her eyes,
Yeah.
I think is a really cool look. And it's just kind of a remind you to people who haven't seen, don't know he's alive, like,
Sure.
he's got the two-handed lightsaber,
Right.
you see that he is a little older, he's modified with the metal legs, you do
Yep.
hear them and things like that. And then Ray Park is the one who's actually Maul there, who's the original person
No,
in
they
Phantom
actually got
Menace.
Ray. Wow.
They brought him back for
That's
this,
awesome.
and they used Sam Witwer as the voice, and he's the voice of Maul during Clone Wars and Rebels.
So they made
So they use both of them kind of as a nice tribute, probably to the last time where I would see Maul, I would assume, on the big screen. And you know, if you see the other shows in anything,
Right.
unless you do some prequel comics or stuff like that. So I thought that was a nice tribute to those two guys who've done a great job with Maul.
Yeah, seriously.
That's
So
awesome.
I just wanted to say that.
Because
That's
Ray
awesome.
Park never spoke as Maul.
Like 5 lines. Like
yeah,
really
not enough
nothing.
to have a voice established. So it was
Yeah.
good that they used. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So I thought that was really good because his voice isn't the iconic Maul one. So
No.
using Sam Witwer for that I thought was absolutely fantastic. So I guess that's it for
awesome.
our likes. I do think going into dislikes here. My major one right off the bat, and you probably know where I'm going with this. I hate how he gets his name. It's
I
so
knew.
bad.
I looked to you and you
it
had
just
this
is.
disappointment on your
I'm
face.
sorry. It is. You could have easily just said Solo was his dad's name. Someone he grew up with. What the weird woman Proxima gave him. Whatever it is. Having an Imperial officer just be like, oh, you're alone. So Solo. Like that's so bad. It's so cheesy. It's so corny. It's terrible. It's almost like a parody of it, and I think it's horrible. And it makes no sense to me why he would keep that name later on. He hates the Empire. An officer gives him that name, and then he keeps it, and he's proud of that name. It makes no sense whatsoever. So yes, there's not a lot of detail to go on about. I thought that was horrible. There's a better way. You could just make it his surname, even if he didn't know his family. He liked it. Whatever. I don't know. He thought it sounded cool. That was just terrible.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get that. I do get that.
Do you feel that way, Dale, at all? Like, just...
No, that scene, I didn't really pay much attention to it, but now that you bring it up, yeah, it's kind of stupid.
In the moment, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Now, I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe it is a bit corny, but I don't feel strongly about it at all. It was kind of a flash in the pan, and that was it. It's done, and... I don't think any attention needs to be brought to it.
No, there's not more we have to talk about. I just wanted to say I didn't like that.
Yeah,
that was a definitely huge dislike. What I also, the beginning is just a little bit weird, just with the weird worm lady kind of thing. That was, Star Wars. I know there's a lot of things out there, but that was a little weird. Then they're like, I guess suburban, like cave kind of people because they're affected by the sunlight, like vampires.
Oh yeah,
so like
training cave. I don't know. That was weird.
So it was okay. Like it wasn't great there. And then my other big problem with this movie is I don't like Infus Ness. I'm sorry. I don't like her and her band of people. Yeah. I don't feel like it fits in this movie. I don't like how you're hinting to a rebellion. I thought all that was so dumb and forced in, and I didn't like that at all. I thought it was way better when it was just a marauder, whether it was a guy or girl, because I know they thought it was a guy, and then the big reveals, oh, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
We're seeing Kira and Rey and all these people. What was it? Jen Erso from Rogue One.
Who I thought
There's badass women out there, so I'm not like, oh my god, it's a woman.
Sure.
But it was more like, I thought it would have been better if they were just equal opportunists. They were marauders who were just trying to make a score as well. Like, making them as a rebellion thing, and that was a really weird turn there at the end. I just didn't like that at all. I thought it was very odd.
I understand the message behind it, or, like, it's about exploitation of, native people. I get it. I understand. Was forced, for sure. Not forced, but like,
one of my
unnecessary.
One of my favorite sequences of the movie, which I didn't even talk about in likes, is when Han Solo, the whole deal that's going down, and it looks like it's going terribly wrong.
Sure.
With the, he wants to see the not the uranium, the
coaxium.
The coaxium, right? All these metals and materials.
Yeah.
The coaxium, and then he's.
It's a fantastic scene.
You're like, oh shit, is it a fake? And he knows it's a fake. The dude knows it's a fake. Because then you find out that Beckett turned on Solo and turned on Chewie, and then you find out that Solo was anticipating it, and so that's why you need that group not to be marauders, because if they're marauders, that scene doesn't work the way that it normally does.
So I think the only way, sorry to cut you off, I think the only way it works there is that maybe that it just causes a whole big fight, kind of like with the rebellion breakout scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think it causes a whole fight there, and maybe just in the distraction, Han gets the upper hand. Like, I think you could have done it somewhat like that or something, or just maybe they're not there at all, and somehow Han just gets the upper hand or something like that. It just felt weird. It was just a strange turn.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I didn't think it needed to happen. I feel like, at best, it was a vehicle for that scene, because I did love that same scene. At best, it was a vehicle for that. At worst, it was just...
It was a message. And that's one thing that I definitely... I'm not going on a whole tangent. With these new Star Wars movies...
There doesn't need to be a message.
There's always a political or social message that doesn't need to happen. It could be way more subtle. The problem in The Last Jedi... with the whole casino scene is it's not good, but also it's a message about animal rights and rich versus poor and war profiteering. I don't care. So and that felt so forced in it, like it was just too much.
Actually,
and I feel that way here.
I think this movie did a similar thing in the whole rights and droid rights.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
I thought they did it way better than they did it in the Last Jedi. I think, of course, yes, it was in your face. But,
L3.
The way she kept saying it, I was like, oh, this is getting annoying. But when the rebellion actually happened, I was
then
like,
it makes
that
sense
was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Way better than the casino scene in The Last Jedi. Yes. So if you're going to do take a stand for something and make it droid rights and do it that way, thought it was cool. Exploitation of native people.
Yeah.
The message didn't need to be there.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that brings me to, so you have anything other on Infus Ness? No?
No, I mean, I didn't really have that much of an issue with it, but I didn't.
You think that was
about it.
weird at the end, like
I
how
didn't-
like
you know, maybe it was weird because the entire build-up was that they were going to be this vicious group of
Yeah,
animals, and then to be like, you know, rebellion people. Maybe it was a little weird. It didn't feel off to me though, to be completely
That's
honest.
fair.
You know, actually,
it's different for other people.
But I do completely understand why you feel that way.
Yeah, I do want to touch upon it. Other than the fact that it was just not impactful in any way, I feel like I.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't a pro
like
for
when
me.
she
No,
when
no,
she does the
yeah.
reveal, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
the reveal didn't do anything for me. But what did kind of bother me is that how aggressive her and her clan were in the when they first
With
do
the train,
first
yeah,
job.
that's what I was
She was
saying.
ready to kill them at any cost,
Yeah.
and then how passive she was on the planet. I thought they were, at the very least, if they wanted to do what they were going to do with the
Right.
message and like their plan, they should have done it at least in an aggressive way because the switch,
Yeah.
it kind of ruined it.
I guess they're accounting that the switch is just because Beckett said that, oh, the Crimson, whatever it is, Maul's code name, Crimson Dynamo, whatever the hell it is.
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn.
That's the organization.
Yeah, which Maul runs.
Yes.
Oh, they're coming, so you're dead either way. And that causes you to make the switch. I don't know.
No,
I guess
there was nothing that prompted the switch.
but I guess that's
They should've
what they're
shot
saying it is,
Yeah.
and like then she gives like a whole spiel about her mother used to do this.
When
and
she
I'm just
took
like,
off the mask, I initially just thought in my head like, oh, is that like Beckett's daughter maybe?
Right?
And
That's
that
what you
would
thought,
That's what
too.
I thought.
and that would have been, I think, maybe a little more.
But it's
like,
just a
okay,
new
now we
character,
understand.
which is
But then
fine.
again, that wouldn't have made sense because why is she trying to kill her dad on the train?
Right.
Well, why
So
is that?
there were too many
Yeah,
issues
there's
there.
too
So
much,
I
yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, I
It
didn't
didn't
like
stick
that.
out to me
Yeah.
as a bad thing, but it definitely wasn't like a impactful. scene.
It was you know, it just didn't work for me. I don't hate it.
Mhm.
It just I liked it more when she's in the mask, and then just that it's just a weird turn at the end. Like if somehow maybe they came to an agreement, like they became allies because she got a cut of the profit, kind of like Lando or something.
Sure.
I would have been like, all right, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Or you know, hey, we're uniting against a common enemy, Crimson
Right,
Dawn and,
right.
and Dryden Voss, right?
Sure.
But to be like, oh, we're the start of the rebellion. You know,
Yeah.
you sure you want to join, hon? Oh no. Oh, maybe someday. Like, get out of here. I'm sorry. It just that's too corny. It's just
Sure.
it just
That
doesn't
didn't work.
It
The,
just
the,
doesn't
the
work.
foreshadowing was a little in your face. I even
Oh.
kind of laughed out loud, like, yeah, obviously he's going to join the. You didn't
Yeah.
need to tell us that. You know,
Yeah.
we know he's going to join.
It's just a weird thing.
So it was a little in your face.
And the my final big dislike for this film I don't have like little nitpicks. It's
Yeah.
just big things
Sure.
for this one. Is L3? I hate her. I hate that droid. I don't think I don't like the message. I understand droids are unequal, especially in the times of the Empire. But we see that stuff in A New Hope. You know, when the cantina, your kind isn't allowed
Sure,
here,
yeah.
and they make a little reference to that, saying your kind's not.
Yeah,
they don't even
they
serve
were
your
very
kind
kind,
here,
yeah.
right? So you get a little bit of that's fine. But for her to go on and on about like when Lando's just like, oh, hey, do you need anything? Equal rights, and he just eye rolls. So do I,
Yeah.
because it's like it's so in your face. It's so annoying. It makes a little bit of sense more with the rebellion breakout scene of like she's going so barbaric with the bolts or whatever that's
Sure.
on them, forcing them to do things and forcing them to fight.
That
But
was good. That was done well.
I don't like her character at all. And
I
then
agree,
a
yeah.
really weird thing of like a really odd scene to me with her and Kira of like at first it's like, hey, what are you gonna do with the Han situation? And then it turns to her and Lando, and are you trying to imply that they had sex before?
They
or
absolutely
that
were.
or that
It
they
works.
could, or like it's in like how
It
she says like,
implies.
oh, you have to do that thing with my circuits later, so like basically like a massage kind of
Sure.
thing. So it's more of like a romantic. It's very odd. And I don't just like anything about her character.
I will actually. It's gonna sound weird. I will sort of defend that because given Lando's character, I feel like he's the kind
I
of
could
dude, he's the
see
kind
it
of dude
again.
that would have sex with anything. And I
Fair
think,
enough.
So I think that totally is kosher. I think other than the romance, maybe not, but like
Yeah.
when she said it's possible, like he's tried.
I,
It's just
I
weird.
also thought the scene with her and Amelia Clark talking about how about love and stuff. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of funny, but everything else was
a little too over the top. I
Yeah,
agree with that.
It wasn't.
I don't know. It just didn't work for me with her.
I mean, I completely even forgot she was a character, honestly.
yeah, even like her jokes of like, oh, I can't perform with you all watching me, like all that stuff. I was like,
That was probably the cringe for me. The cringiest.
I
thing
was
in the
like,
movie.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's a pee joke. I get it, but like,
yeah, it doesn't work for me. And I will say that like it has nothing to do with like so you could have droids like C-3PO that everyone loved,
sure,
right?
like quirky, like
Quirky things like that. But then you also have droids like R2-D2 and K2SO from Rogue One that
Who
are
I love.
feisty, who
love.
talk back,
Yeah.
and that works. So it's not like that doesn't work. But talking anthology films only, K2SO as a droid is a fantastic character.
He was great.
And L3 is not. I'm sorry. It's just not a good character.
Yeah.
It wasn't well written. It wasn't well done. And whoever's doing the motion capture, whatever, has nothing to do with that.
Sure,
it's more
that's
that
great.
the way that is written, it just doesn't. It just doesn't work for me at
Sure.
all. And I find it more of an annoyance as more than a like that supports and elevates the characters in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, it's a really weird thing that now every time you watch the originals, you think, oh, the navigational system Millennium Falcon, that's L3.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a very weird tie-in to me of just, like, it's
Oh.
very strange now that she's always a part of the ship, even now when Rey has it. I don't know if I
Okay,
necessarily
I mean,
like that.
I think it's pretty inconsequential though, because
Yeah.
at that point she's basically just navigation.
I think it's just her map intelligence. That's
Right.
what I like to believe.
Yeah.
It might be that her
But
whole
Lando
personality.
has that
personality
scene when
thing.
he's like, she's part of the ship now.
I
like,
know,
it's
yeah.
like, eh.
Right, and if you really didn't like her character, then it's like it ruins the whole Millennium
Yeah,
Falcon for you.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't ruin it for me necessarily. It just, I didn't like her character plain and simple. I
Sure.
just don't.
Okay, that's
That's
fair.
yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really have any dislikes for this film. Besides, those are major ones. I will say they're
Yeah.
not, but like, if you took out L3 and like an Enfys Nest thing, I think it would be even a better film. I just think their tie-ins, their messages that they're trying to send, it's just a little overwhelming, which happens in these new Star Wars
Sure,
films sometimes.
sure.
Yeah.
I definitely think it does.
So I guess mine is sort of somewhere a borderline of a nitpicky and a big thing, and I think it has to do with the Star Wars franchise as a whole, where they do something cool and then try to catch that same lightning and replicate it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The example of the Darth Vader thing in Rogue One, which to me is the scary, like, you know, Star Wars isn't a
Ugh.
scary series, but it's
That is scary.
the only scene in Star Wars that actually is,
Yeah.
you know, and put terror in my heart. Thought that was great. They tried to, you know, catch lightning, replicate that, do the Darth Maul thing, which I did enjoy, but they tried it again. You know, just so many like different like little ideas from the other movies. They try to, hey, this is a cool thing. Let's throw it in the movie again. Like, we don't need to see the same stuff
Right.
over and over again.
Like killing the crew, kind of like we did
Yeah.
in Rogue One as
Yeah,
well.
like we
killed
don't
that.
like.
So
I get it.
There's repeating themes.
This, yeah,
definitely.
like, and I understand. You know, I think the idea of repeating themes is cool, but when you try to like, it's almost becomes cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And that's me. I still enjoy the movie
Yeah.
a lot, but like, you know, don't beat a horse to death. Seriously.
Definitely, and I think actually one of those little dislikes I had was killing characters like Rio and Val so fast. I thought those were really good characters
so.
that were Beckett's team, and like they could have easily, like, it wasn't too big. They could have easily fit in with the new crew.
Yeah.
I just think doing that so quickly, yes, you show the loss of Beckett, blah blah blah.
Which, yeah.
But like, I think that was a waste to just get rid of them like that. And even L3, as much as I don't like her, look how quick she's gone.
It's
Bang,
over
gone,
as
done.
fast, yeah.
So, I don't know.
Right. If you kill people off later in the movie, that's
it
what
adds
Rogue
more
One did
impact.
amazingly. Because you didn't even have 10 minutes after everyone.
Well, you
got
killed them all in like a
the movie
10-minute
gets- I
sequence.
know.
Bang,
I know.
bang, bang.
I
they're all
think
dead.
it's like a 1 minute
Yeah.
sequence, honestly.
Yeah, it was-
But you kill them off later in the movie. You have more time for the audience to connect to these characters. So
Exactly.
yeah, they did go a little quick. They did go. A little
I did want to ask you, because I know you like this kind of stuff. What do you think about a couple of the moments that were referenced early in the film and came later? So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the speeder scene where he gets stuck, and then how that adds later to him doing the
Yeah,
Kessel
and
Run.
actually, yeah.
So do you like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that was cool. And I like how the main reason he was able to do it is because he had that hyper speed.
Yeah, the coaxium that they drip.
Yeah,
everywhere.
that was
Yeah.
the main reason he was able to get through it. So I thought that was cool. I also really thought the scene where they were like, "Oh, you're approaching the whatever the black hole thing was in
Yeah.
the sky,"
Whatever it's called.
but then it turns into this huge fucking
It's like, that's not it. That's
tentacle.
a living thing.
Yeah, that was terrifying. I
Yeah,
love
and
that
the
was
way it
pretty
got
cool. That
ripped
was cool.
apart with
Yeah.
the gravity well and things like
Yeah,
that.
ugh.
I could have did without the big monster, but it was fine. It was
Yeah.
whatever.
I think
It just
I
shows
think
that the Star Wars universe has a lot of things.
Yeah, it also just like, you know, it makes you wonder like what's out there. Not even in like a Star Wars universe, but even in like a reality universe.
Definitely.
I mean, the universe
Yeah.
is huge. Something like that could exist.
Yeah,
in,
and
like,
some
a
giant,
never know.
gas cloud. We have no idea.
That's
yeah.
exactly.
freaking
So
terrifying.
there
So
is-
I like that because I feel like it just adds again to the whole universe.
Sure.
Entirely.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I really like that scene. But yeah, that foreshadowing was pretty cool. I
Yeah,
like that.
I liked the big monster thing. You could also did without it. But then the other thing that came back is Beckett throughout the film saying, "Do not trust anyone."
Yeah,
That's
don't
the advice
trust
I can
anyone.
give you. And everyone's predictable, and Han uses both of those against them at the end. Did you like that kind of coming back around?
I did like that. I did like that. I think that's what made Han special. And I think that's what Beckett saw in Han.
Yeah.
And that's the reason
He
Beckett
saw, I
kinda
think, a
took
young him in some ways.
Yeah, and that's the reason Beckett took him under his wing. And that was almost like a final test. You have to shoot me and kill me right
I
here.
totally agree with that, and I think that's what saves the idea for me. But like, it's become such an overused trope of like, I told you not to trust anyone,
So that would
and
fit,
I
like-
did, yeah, and like that fits in because like a lot of movies have been like, I told you to trust no one, and
Yeah.
it's like it's that foreshadowing thing. It's like, oh, if a character says that, you know they're gonna turn,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, I knew. Yeah.
But the way he had planned for it, I thought was the way it kind of saved the idea for me.
Yeah,
So I
Yeah.
thought-
it was really nice. I did think, I want to say, it's not a huge dislike, even though it'll sound like it, but it's not. This movie is very predictable.
Sure.
It's very obvious. Like, I knew from the start, as soon as I meet him, I'm like, at some point when him and Beckett team up, Beckett will betray him. I
Yeah.
knew that was
He'll have to kill
definitely,
him, yeah.
definitely coming. You know Dryden Boss is going to die. You know that there was some boss, which I actually, throughout the film, with no spoilers, the first time I saw it, I was like, are they doing a mole thing right now?
the Crimson.
So, like, that's not disguised as well as it could be. And it's just predictable throughout. I thought the least predictable thing was Kira's thing at the end, actually. That
Yeah.
I thought was actually the least predictable thing that I did not see coming. I thought she was going to die, or betray him and then die, something like that. So
Yeah, because she's the only well, not the only, because the other characters do die, but like after everyone dies, as we get closer to the end, you're like, well, Kira's not in any of the newer movies, so what's gonna happen
exactly,
with her?
you
And
have
then
to
she
write that.
yeah, like
There'll
what?
be some comic guarantee
Sure.
about how that went or
Sure.
something.
But like going into it, I was like, she's got to die, right?
Yeah.
Because she's not in the new movie.
That's what happens
Or
with these
the
prequels.
old
That
movie.
is an issue.
And I've said it many times, and you can quote me many
No,
times,
you have.
and I will never change my opinion on that. I do not like prequels.
You look back at the footage. He
Prequels,
has,
Yeah, he
prequels
said
just do not appease to me
so
at all.
It does take away from the
You
suspense.
know what happens
Because you
to
know
certain
Lando
characters.
lives, you know Han lives,
Exactly,
you know Chewie lives.
exactly.
Like, so you know
And then
those
when
things.
characters don't die and they live
What
when they're
happens?
not in the future, yeah, what happens? And it's just unanswered
And
questions.
it's a similar problem that even though you guys haven't watched it,
Rebels
with
does-
Clone Wars,
or-
right? We
There's a
always
character that
end
just
Rebels.
disappears
Ahsoka,
with Maul.
right?
Yeah.
We wonder Ahsoka. She's a huge character. She's like was a Jedi.
Straight
She's
disappears.
never in the originals, but in Rebels at the end, spoilers for that, we find out that she lived way through the originals. So why is she never in the originals?
Right.
So like that's an issue when you go back and tell a prequel story.
Yeah.
That there's an issue there.
Just
Um,
not prequels.
but yeah, I think that does it for us for
Yeah,
dislikes.
I,
right?
Absolutely.
I was just like thing how I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay.
They kind of it's really unclear about the timeline there. I think
Very, yes.
It was like where it
Someone
fits.
put up a mock thing on Twitter, but I don't know how accurate.
Yeah, I mean it can't be any. I don't think anything can be fully accurate.
Yeah,
you
until
know.
Lucasfilm will come out and
Of
say
course,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little
I
weird.
was
How
a little-
long are we before A New Hope? Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
how long after what's the Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah,
Are we like where's this fit? Because
yeah. So
Han
we know
Solo
we
is
definitely
not
know
that
it's
much-
before A New Hope and Rogue One. We
Right.
definitely know that.
Yeah.
But where does this
yeah,
fit? in?
Han Solo is not that much. He's only about a couple of years older than Luke.
Yeah,
So like I don't know. Yeah, but
definitely there.
other than that, that's not even anything egregious.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
have
like, I was
any-
like, oh,
so
where is this?
I had major problems, yes, but overall, like
I thought it was a
Yeah.
very enjoyable movie.
it is, and especially actually the second time around, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Not so that's added dislikes. Just a quick things that we didn't touch on that we were about to. I thought Paul Bettany's Dryden Voss was great.
He is great.
I thought he was
That was
fantastic.
the first
His
role-
weapons, all that stuff,
yeah,
very cool.
the first role that I've knowingly seen him because obviously he's
When he's
Vision.
the villain.
But he's the villain, which he's a very pure character in
Mhm.
in Avengers as Vision. Vision
Yeah.
is like the most morally. He's a great
Yeah.
great person, and this guy's pretty. He's a bad dude, and I think Paul Bettany really shows that he can do that.
Yeah.
Because like he was kind of scary, and he's just a normal looking guy, but
Yeah.
like he's
Well,
the kind of boss.
he had the red marks on his
Yeah.
face.
But
He
even
was-
mine-
I think that maybe
like-
was part of his race, I assume.
Sure,
I don't know.
that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
But even when you look past that, he's like the kind of boss that you don't want to piss off. Like they're
Yeah.
just talking to you in a normal voice, but you know that like what they're saying means something.
Well, I like how he kills the regional governor of the empire too. So that shows how entrenched the criminal element is in the empire. That the empire allows the criminal thing to happen
Right.
because it almost acts as a jurisdiction over the Empire in places that they can't rule because it's so vast.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, so those are when themes work
Yeah.
and are not in your face.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I don't have the second time as much of a problem with Chewie and Han meeting. That was alright, fine.
Oh, I did. Okay, I liked the meeting. Hated that he spoke
Him
Wookiee.
speaking, yeah.
When
Yeah.
especially when he
It's a
first
little
did, I'm like,
odd.
wow.
Because why does he never do it later? And,
Yeah. Like, 'cause Chewie can absolutely understand his English.
Yeah.
It's clear throughout the rest of the movie and the rest of the series.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to speak Wookiee to establish that
I
connection.
guess.
Well, I mean, I guess
that was-
it is to
Maybe,
establish
yeah,
connection.
yeah, I feel like
But,
it's-
like,
It's like a kingship kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, it's
but
like a
also
respect.
like
It's a
what his
respect
Wookiee was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not, and that's not the
Yeah.
actor's
It's
fault.
hard
I mean,
to do.
It's
I'm not
to do.
bilingual, so I don't want to get into that personally. But I understand.
Yeah, the
He's
translation
He's Italian. I know.
Yeah, the translation. Yeah.
Bonjour. you know.
Bonjour.
That's French.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, but that I can understand. Some people have said that was kind of weird throughout the film, but I don't know.
Otherwise, I thought that was a good basis there.
Yeah, and then how the two of them left off. I thought them having their chemistry actually I think was one of the better parts of the movie. I don't know how I feel really about the shower scene kind of thing.
No,
I didn't really find it that funny,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I
one of
thought it
those
was kinda-
gag jokes. That
Yeah.
is funny.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing, I think, was kind of symbolic in that they were chained together down there.
Yeah.
I think they were been
Like
they've
they're
gone
stuck
through
together,
pieces.
and even when they're running away and how he's
Yeah.
pulling him in that
Mhm.
direction, yeah.
And then it
Definitely.
continues throughout, like, no matter what, they will always be sort of shackled together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's actually a good
That's
theme
good.
there too. And if they, I was very skeptical about them doing the Kessel Run, though they did it. It was pretty good, and even seeing the Kessel Mines and all that kind of stuff, beside the droid rebellion, I thought all that stuff worked, especially seeing the Pikes too.
What made me sad about the whole Kessel Run thing, because there were plenty of YouTube videos that have touched upon it since it was, that Kessel Run in 12 parsecs was brought up. And it's a super nerdy thing, but a parsec is a measure of distance,
Right,
not time.
they correct that in this though, if you notice.
No.
Because it is a measure of distance. Remember, Han didn't do it in time. The normal route that you take is over 20 parsecs. He cut through that, and no one's ever done that.
That's
so he
true.
shortened the
See,
route.
it was a subtle.
So they actually
I
closed
take
that
it back.
loophole
I
from
take
the
that back.
originals.
That's true.
That made it sound like it was a speed thing, but it was actually a distance thing. They actually closed that loophole.
You're right. You're right.
Awesome.
I take it back. I apologize.
Yeah. I didn't want you to make a mistake here on camera.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
it's a moment right here.
Um,
But
so,
yes,
I
definitely.
guess and that's it. I think we pretty much touched on
So
everything
we're
I
good,
wanted
likes
to.
and
Yes.
dislikes. All right, so jumping
Thank
in,
you so much for. Oh, sorry.
jumping into rating. I struggled a long time with this, and I know this might sound negative, but I'm gonna settle on a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh. Yeah,
I think that's fine for me. There is major problems I do have with it, but we don't do a lot of negative reviews on this channel, so this is to reference that. This is not a Suicide Squad movie. No.
What did we give that?
Oh man, I think I gave it like a 4. I think you guys or 2
That was
or
bad.
something like
I'll
that.
give it a
It's
2.
not that. There's a lot of great moments in this film. It is definitely worth watching. It fits into the Star Wars thing, especially the second time around. I like it. However, there are things that are weird and don't fit in, and if they were taken out or done differently, could have made a better film. So 6.5 out of 10.
You want to go? You want me to
Yeah,
go?
I'll go. I was actually, when we were talking, I was like, I was on the fence, 6.5 and 7. I'll push it to the 7. I like that it was good.
So
yeah.
you're rounding up as kind of Han rounded down.
Yeah,
kind
Ton
of
rounded
thing.
down. I'll round up for that. I think it deserved it. It was enjoyable enough where, like, I felt like a kid at a lot of parts where I was like, oh, that cool thing happened, and like, so if it brings that joy in me, I think it deserves it.
Yeah, we see how he got to the blaster too. and all
Yeah,
that stuff,
yeah.
so.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I liked
What are you rating this?
I'm. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, that was like a solid high 7 for me, maybe even an 8. But I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. You guys did bring up some good points, but I still thought it was
a good range there.
still thought it was a solid movie.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it, and for me, I didn't really have that much of an issue with the scenes that you brought up. But after hearing your points, okay, there were some kind of not really inconsistencies, but some maybe just forced things that didn't really need to be there. That robot character, yeah, she was a miss for me. I really did not like her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't think it was a big negative for me. I just enjoyed the story. I enjoyed seeing Han Solo, and when the acting and the characters are really great and engulf you, then that is what I look for in a movie. And so I enjoyed it. Definitely Not going to be one of my top 4 or 5 Star Wars movies, but by no means is it a bad movie. By no means I was going to say is it a prequel.
By no means
is it a prequel.
That's bad, but no, I did enjoy it. It's a fun time. It's a fun time.
Definitely. Well said. So I guess that kind of wraps up our thoughts here on Solo: A Star Wars Story. Guys, definitely go out and check this movie. We're relatively pretty positive on this film.
Yeah.
It's doing really bad at the box office. It doesn't deserve that. The people on this film here don't deserve that. So definitely check it out. Go see it. Don't buy into the hate hype that's going on. Which also look at what happened with poor Rose, the actress there.
And is it true that Daisy Ridley also?
Yeah, that was a while ago because of the hate as well. Guys, there is no reason.
That was way before the last Jedi,
no reason in this fandom that however you feel about the new films compared to the old films, get off your high horse. Stop ruining actual people's lives by harassing them. That's literally ridiculous.
Yeah.
So down in the comments, just keep it positive, please. Even if you have dislikes, just do it respectfully, please. Like, we could have a genuine adult conversation, I think.
Sure.
So let us know what you think of this movie down below. Like I said, your likes, dislikes, how you feel about these characters, about the performances, how this fits into the Star Wars timeline, where does it fit, and any other thoughts, predictions, theories you have about this movie or Star Wars films coming, let us know down below. Like the video, subscribe, channel, share with your friends if you'd be so kind, and until next movie review, guys, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
And I hope you have an amazing day.
And I hope you have an amazing day.
There we go. That's a good one.
Great review. Great review.